And we're live. It's me and JR Rally today. We are back for a Game of Thrones Theory Thursday, and today we're going to talk about House Greyjoy, book and show. We're going to get into some predictions. We're going to speculate. We're going to talk about things that we think need to happen, things that we think can be left out. And there's really a lot to talk about, JR.
Yeah, there's actually a ton of stuff to talk about with House Greyjoy. That's why, actually, right now, it's one of the more intriguing houses because there's so many question marks.
And we also have some other things to talk about later in the stream, including this. A signed copy of George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones that I will be giving away. And I will be giving all the details to all of you later in the chat. So what we're going to do today is we got some people in the chat. Let's do a quick shout out. I know some people are going to be coming a little bit later on. Karen Richmond, by the way, is one of the recipients of the other two copies that I got for Game of Thrones signed copies. But we have Mr. Skillen, Bubba Husky, Jormungand, Prince That Wasn't Promised, Scott McCloy, Karen Richmond, the Sugar Mama That Was Promised, and Clavano, Sasak, Chris Weinberg, Misty. We also have Scott McCloy, Mia Eisenfire, JR Rally, who's with me right now, and Bratislava, and I'm sure others will be joining. So, yeah, JR, where do we want to start with House Greyjoy? Because the books and show are very different in that respect.
Oh, they're miles apart. Let's go show first because it seems to be everybody's common knowledge base at the moment. So we'll go show first. So
we didn't get to see a lot of Yasha Greyjoy, which is how we're going to be referring to her today.
Yasha.
I always go Yara, Asha. I always forget. So it's going to be Yasha today. I know that's going to trigger some people, but we'll just because I'm going to go Yarsha, Yosha, something like that. We didn't get to see lots of her last season, and there was a lot of speculation that Euron was going to be getting the Thalia Flowers treatment. And we know that Thalia Flowers, and we're going to talk about her after in the Forsaken chapter, she is Euron's salt wife, and she gets her tongue cut out. She's pregnant, and she's put on a prow of a ship, which is something that is
nailed to the prow of a ship.
Yeah, pretty nasty. Pretty nasty thing. Among the bad things that are happening within Song of Ice and Fire, that's probably one of the 10 worst things that is happening. Like, I mean, a pregnant woman being basically killed and not able to speak and abused in epic fashion. Really disgusting behavior.
That's because you're on such a charmer.
Oh, he is a charmer. Well, what do you think is going to happen with, I almost said Asha again. I always do it. What do you think is going to happen with her in the show?
I think one of the biggest questions is she going to be pregnant? And it's getting a lot of discussion on different stuff, like different parts of the community are discussing it, trying to figure it out. I'm guessing probably not.
For there to be more incest in the show, I mean, we're going to see essentially more of that with Jon and Dany next season, except people are shipping it, which is, you know what I mean?
Season 1, ooh, Cersei and Jaime. Season 7, get it, Jon.
Jon and Dany. And by the way, people are asking about this in the background. I'm going to show this. This is what I was greeted at with the airport when I was at my baggage check by Mia and Adam, who I'm staying with in Orlando, 2 patrons of the channel. So that I didn't make that, but that's how I was greeted at the airport, which is awesome. And they even have an Azorahype sticker. There's actually in the bottom corner, this corner over here, there's a chicken drumstick, which is pretty awesome.
Chicken.
But back to, a lot of people were saying that Yasha was going to get her tongue cut out, and I actually thought that she might be brought before Cersei or something. JR, I thought we might have saw Cersei kind of like take her down a few pegs, like treat her as
she was marched up with Tyene and Ilaria Sand through King's Landing up to see the Queen, but Euron said no, she's mine. Basically, no, I'm claiming her. You can have these two.
And that's what led to a lot of people saying, hey, is Euron going to use her as his own sex toy? Is he going to abuse her? And we're going to talk about this later. Evidence that Euron may have molested his own brother the rusty hinge.
Forsaken, yeah.
Well, not in the. I mean, it's talked about more in the Forsaken, but it's hinted at.
Yeah, it's alluded to.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely that weird dynamic going on. So I don't know if HBO is going to go that far next season. They received a lot of backlash. Yeah, a lot of backlash for the Sansa stuff with Ramsay. So I don't know if they're going to go the same route, even though it is. Yeah, I don't think they're going to show it. They might. I feel like a
bit of that backlash was mostly from book readers, though. Like, no, that's not what happens. It's not Gene Poole. What is going on?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if it necessarily really does anything for the storyline, other to show that Euron is a shitty person,
a bigger douchebag than we already think he is. Great.
Yeah, and I mean, in the books, he's far more nefarious and accomplished.
Oh, way worse.
I mean, he hasn't been fleshed out as much as he has been in the books. Not even close. I mean, obviously we got more Greyjoy POVs. We didn't have Victarion in the show. No. That's kind of a point. But yeah, so chat, let us hear what you think is going to happen with Yasha. Like we're saying, Yara, Asha. So because I'm about to say Asha.
Yasha.
Yeah,
that's Yasha.
But I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. The whole discussion between Jon Snow and Theon, the kind of duality of being Greyjoy and a Stark, and that's obviously setting up speech. That's setting up something for Jon, I think, being Targaryen and Stark. But I think, in a way, I think Jon felt bad for Theon because he was in a similar situation to Jon, not the same situation, but Jon.
But parallel too.
Yeah, there is some similarities there. They weren't as loved as they thought they were, even though Ned cared for Theon.
And I would make the argument that Theon actually had better treatment, especially from Catelyn, than Jon ever did.
Which is, a lot of people hate Catelyn. I don't hate her as much as some other people, but I totally see the argument. So Yasha, do we think that she is going to survive season 8? JR, I mean, is she going to be partaking in battle? There's some pretty good sentiment out there. Some people think that, since Theon can't reproduce and, Yasha might get her tongue cut out, that, they can kind of be, Theon can kind of be the voice of Yara, and then she can kind of be.
It would be very poetic if she did have her tongue cut out, because that means both of them neither have their favorite play toys anymore.
Right. And I think also Karen says she's definitely being mistreated, but I don't know that the show will take her tongue. Yeah, it's definitely 50-50 for me. I think that Euron's going to have to do something that's pretty severe, but they can't do it to the level, obviously, of what's happening within the Forsaken, because that's just, it would be pretty shocking if they had her pregnant and tied to a private shift. That would be like a first ever for TV, as far as like, I don't want to say anything's worse than the Sansa scene, because we didn't get to see the act happen, but it's pretty up there.
No, it would be up there, and I could see them going out on a mark like that, like not intentionally going out on a mark like that, but I could see them pushing that boundary just to make the statement.
And we do know that the show is a very different medium than the books, so it is more visual, and these events that are happening, these things, these negative events, like Sansa being raped and Cersei committing genocide, burning people alive. These are shocking moments. HBO is not afraid to go there, but I think that the last season, for the purpose of the story, I don't think it serves
time-wise. I don't think they're not gonna flesh it out. They don't have time.
So I think that, obviously House Greyjoy, I think we're all huge fans of Alfie Allen, who we might get to interview at DragonCon. Hopefully. We did put in an application to interview him and Pilu, who plays Euron. I can't guarantee anything and anyone, but I do think that, there are a lot of House Greyjoy fans out there. I mean, I'm rooting for Theon to have some sort of redemption. I think he's one of the cripples, bastards, and broken things kind of that could survive the Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, and one of the people that's going to be rebuilding the broken Westeros and ushering in a new age, the Dream of Spring. What do you think about that? Do you think that Yara Asha is part of that?
I think Yasha is a part of that. I can't decide if it would do more justice to have her and Theon die or not. I mean, that would be the end of the Greyjoys of Pike for sure. But one or the other is going to survive, and I think it has to be Yara. I can see his redemption arc being self-sacrificing to save his sister.
But that would all almost seem too easy because he's willing to do that. And I mean, he hasn't been willing to do that before. But it is very interesting how they did the show portrayal of because we know that Victarion is going to be in Marine, and he could serve as the person to get Daenerys across the narrow sea back to Westeros. But we saw the agreement between Yara, two queens essentially, making an agreement to change the culture of the Iron Islands. And I don't necessarily know if that's going to be a point in the books that they're going to make. So that's something that, I mean, it certainly could be.
It would be intriguing.
Right, because they're in totally different places. I mean, Asha
completely.
And Theon are with Stannis.
Well, right now in the books, yeah, she's a captive of Stannis and is being guarded by Lady Mormont. So, not Lyanna Mormont from the show, but her older sister who is serving in was serving in Rob's army. No, she's a captive of Stannis's as well because she wouldn't bend the knee. But that's book.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it looks like Stannis wants to sacrifice Theon, and Bran may be communicating with Theon through the WeirNet. So let's ask chat. What do we think is going to happen with Yara Asha in the show? Let's get some predictions, and then Jara, we can kind of give our final prediction for maybe a final scene.
You go fire emoji for pregnant and hype emoji for she could lose her tongue.
So what we'll do is we'll do fire emoji for losing her tongue. We'll do heart for pregnant, and then you can do the Kraken emoji if you think she's going to survive, or the squid emoji.
I hope John's in there.
We got Blackfire, a song of hype. Preston in the chat. Sorry, I don't have the wall of hype, everyone. I'm gone for another 4 weeks. So if anyone does make a donation, I can't write on this wall, but I do have our own little board here. Kraken, okay.
Kraken babies.
So Kate Ems thinks she's going to get pregnant. Oh, there's a couple Kraken. All three. Wow.
Ooh, survivors. All right.
In the show Tongueless. Okay, I mean there's a pretty decent amount. I mean it's pretty split right now. Oh, John St. Baptiste thinks Kraken.
There we go. No, that's Josh just throwing Krakens up for life.
Okay. Bubba Husky says all three.
Really?
Ben Drescher says read my comment in capitals. Okay, Ben, you put capitals in there. Yara and Theon both die. Euron kills Cersei. Euron takes the throne. Team Euron. I think that is highly improbable.
On the likelihood of that happening, that's no.
I think that's a 0.0%er. Euron is destined to die. Are you not seeing what's happening in the Forsaken chapter? He's dead. He has Valyrian steel armor, and Jon is totally getting that. Jon Snow, by the way. Scott McCoy says Yara just died. No, Ben, love it, man. I love the enthusiasm. By the way, I'm not trashing you. I'm just saying. I personally think.
Now, book. You can make an argument for book. Show. Oh, he's dead.
I think he's dead in both. He has dead written all over him. Greyjoy glory, he's dead.
Joffrey, Ramsay, Euron.
Carol Brown says loses tongue and lives. Ooh. So I mean.
Well, at least she can reproduce.
Theon and Yara, Aaron and Moses. Hey, Misty, that's cool. Jormungand says, I think Theon and Yara will end up on the same situation as before with their roles reversed. Theon tries to save her, but she doesn't trust him anymore. Oh, damn. That could be.
Ooh, actually, that would be really great fan service.
And that's symbolic of the symbol that you have as your avatar, Jormungand, the Ouroboros symbol, the circular nature of A Song of Ice and Fire. We see history repeating itself. I actually see that happening with Jaime Lannister doing the exact thing he tried to prevent, lighting wildfire to kill part of the army of the undead. So that's something that I think that we can maybe put a feather in the cap on that one. Maybe Yara.
I'm kind of with you on that one.
Yeah, the circular nature of the Song of Ice and Fire. That's a really interesting comment, Jormungand. We're gonna make Jormungand a moderator. We're gonna do that right now. Theon is the mute queen's hand. Oh, damn. President Euron won the Democratic vote fairly. Yarsha and Theon need to support their uncle. Yeah, okay, come on.
Oh my God. Can't get away from politics. Can we just stick to Westerosi politics? It's much simpler.
We're not going to get into U.S. politics. I don't want to disrespect anyone's views or anything like that, but yeah, we're not going to do that today. This is a Westerosi Greyjoy, House Greyjoy discussion. So now let's go over a little bit for books. Like show, we think that we think that Yara is going to survive. It's definitely possible that she dies. But we're both in agreement that we think Yara survives.
I think book readers have a lot more sympathy for Theon. I was talking about this earlier with another friend from the community, and I was like, I think book readers, like on the show, you hate him for a lot of things that he didn't do because he was set up by Ramsay Bolton before he became Reek, and he didn't even know that he was being set up when that shit happened. Like he never burned the Mills children. Like that was all Ramsay. And so Theon, I think, is more redeemable in the books than he actually is in the show.
Bubba Husky, I've actually thought about this before too. During the War for Dawn, and this is a great comment where I'm going to read this out loud, JR. The Greyjoy kids will somehow pull the C version of what the Knights of the Vale did during the Battle of the Bastards. What do you think about that? I think that if we talk about navies being powerful within the Song of Ice and Fire, we always hear about the Lannister Navy and obviously Orain Waters and his navy, and then in the show we have Daenerys's navy. Could that be something like? I mean, are we going to see some sort? I think it's more likely to see a Battle of Blackwater 2.0 between Euron and Theon while the other stuff is happening. But it's totally possible that it might be useful during the coming winter.
Is it though? Is it really? I think timeline wise for the show, they're not going to have enough time to do it. So what's going to happen is going to be very fast with Theon, Yasha, and Euron, and they'll take the fleet if that's what needs to happen.
And the thing too is that if they are trying to get south after, let's say, this is show only after the battle for Winterfell, wouldn't they need to wouldn't taking ships be faster to get to King's Landing or something like? Hey, we need to evacuate King's Landing. The Night King is coming here with his dragon.
Yeah, but they'd have to set sail from the west coast of Westeros. So they'd have to move off. They'd have to move off like Bear Island to run down Pike and then pass.
And during winter, which would be difficult, right?
Yeah, very, very difficult.
And the Night King could certainly. We don't know. I mean, the Night King could certainly split up his army. I mean, it's.
Wait, no. Is King's Landing on the east side or the west side? No, it's on the east side.
Yeah, it's on the east side. It's near Shipbreaker Bay and
right below the Stormlands, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. So they'd have to set sail from Skagos.
Around that area, anyways, and it's hypothesized that Last Hearth and the rest of the north may be already besieged. So for them to even try to backtrack and go to one of those ports or something like that is probably not.
Or White Harbor.
White Harbor being probably the most prominent one. I don't see that happening. I think we're going to see both of those places ravaged by the Night King as kind of a precursor to what's going to be happening.
Are we actually going to see White Harbor, though, in the first episode?
Yeah, I think, yes. I think so.
I really hope so.
Well, maybe Last Hearth first. That would make sense. Because I think that, I don't know.
Well, no, because John and Danny are sailing. I mean, hello. Con Snow boat sex.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's true.
They would have to put in at White Harbor with the Vanderlees. So if we don't get to see that, if they fast forward over that and just go straight to Winterfell, I'm going to be so disappointed.
I think that's going to happen.
Stop.
You know why? I think the first episode is going to be a long one, by the way.
I'll reject your reality and substitute my own.
And we and we got to remember that the episodes are going to be longer. And that's going to be.
They are going to be longer, but 8 episodes to get done what needs to happen. I mean, that's not a lot of time, even at 2 hours.
6.
6 episodes. That's right.
But 8 hours of content within 6 episodes.
Yes.
That's the rumor, anyways.
That's God. I just don't see him getting through everything that we would appreciate. I mean, we'll get tips of the hats.
So what we're going to do right now, JR, is since we got a good crowd of people here, we got 80 people in the chat. We're going to talk a little bit about what I'm going to be giving away, and it's a copy of this. This looks like a regular copy of Game of Thrones, doesn't it? You think is it a regular?
Why? Yes, Kyle. It does seem like a regular copy of Game of Thrones.
Well, the first page has nothing on it, but the second page is signed by George R.R. Martin. And what I'm going to do is I already got 2 copies that are reserved for other people. I didn't even get a copy for myself. I got one for Maura Lee, and I got one for Karen Richmond, huge supporters of the channel. But what I want to do is I want to give away a copy of Game of Thrones, not on this stream, but over the next month. Maybe I'll give it away on our Halloween stream, so I'll make it go a little bit longer. But what I want to do is
perfect.
I don't even have a copy for myself. I want to have another copy for you guys to have a chance to get. And I want to give away a signed copy of a Game of Thrones. Now, I haven't decided exactly how we're going to do the giveaway, JR, but you have a couple of ideas. And I'm thinking that best season 8 theory might be a good way to do it. So in the description of this video, what I'm thinking is what you can do is you can email me at azorahypemedia if you would like to give me your best theory for Game of Thrones season 8, or you have a better idea of how I should give away this book. Now, there's already been some people, and I'm going to straighten this out right now, that have tried to offer me something to get this book. That is not how this works. That automatically gets you disqualified, people. I'm going to do this fair and square.
Iron price, no gold.
I'm going to do this fair and square, and patrons, people who have been supporting the channel, they get an extra entry. So, this is going to be going on for a little bit. It's like August 23rd. There's going to be about 2 months until I give away this book. I don't even have a copy myself, but I am going to be giving a copy away of Game of Thrones signed by George R.R. Martin. My Azor Hype Media email is in the description of this live stream. So if you go to the description, azorahypemedia@gmail.com. And yeah, we're giving away a copy signed by George R.R. Martin. No bribes. I'm going to do it fairly. And like I said, I think it's fair to the patrons of the channel, the people who have been supporting the channel, that are basically helping me do this, that help me go see George R.R. Martin in person, get an extra entry. All right.
Everybody must pay the iron price for this entry.
Yes. Like I said, description. I have a toonie left over from my last trip to Quebec. That is almost a bribe. Be careful.
Very slippery slope there.
A lottery system, random chaos is fair.
Chaos is a ladder.
Chaos is a ladder. But let's get back to the discussion, everyone. And like I said, if you do want to reach out to me about an idea for the giveaway, I'm open to it. This is the first time me and JR kind of talked about a couple different ideas. I thought that maybe doing best season 8 theory would be great. And then the person that does that season 8 theory, I could certainly present that in a video and present your video on the show.
Ooh, that's like a double win.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking, okay, actually, you know what?
I like it.
So what we'll do is we'll get back to the Greyjoy discussion in just 2 minutes. What does everybody think about that idea? So whoever enters, email me at azorahypemedia. At least 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs. A meaty enough theory that has some substance to it. And the best theory, I will present that theory on the channel. And then you will know that you have won the book. What do we think about that, JR?
I think that's great, except for when everybody comes up with the same theory and you have one book.
Oh, damn. Yeah. That kind of doesn't work. So you got to be very specific, and don't like if Varys is a merman, that's not going to win. Okay, like let me tell you straight up right now, a Shara Dane plus Ned is also not going to win. A Shara Dane showing up in season 8, that's not going to work for you guys.
And just for George, I bet you Arya and the Waif will win though.
Oh my God, no! That is automatically disqualification.
Oh, so we're going to book theory.
How is PJ not a moderator? Okay, I gotta fix that.
I don't know. PJ's always in the chats.
I know. How did I miss that? Here, let's just make a bunch of people moderators. Okay. Anyways, Tam Hunt.
Boom, you're a moderator.
Boom, you're a moderator. Boom, you're a moderator. Okay. Let's get back to the Greyjoy chat. So we chatted about Yasha, Yosha, Yara, Asha.
Yoshi.
Yoshi. Yoshi, no, that's
Super
great.
Mario of the Iron Islands. It's great.
Let's talk about Euron in the show. He's been a huge disappointment for me. I don't think necessarily because of the actor, but because of how he was written. I'm not generally so critical of the show because I don't like to be as negative as some of the other channels.
He's a brilliant actor, but that writing is just such crap for what he is. And whoever dressed him at Hot Topic needs to be fired.
So yeah, he's got the gallivanting, and this is okay. Before we actually, Carla Mosca, a few paragraphs of what A Song of Ice and Fire means to you, and what this community in general means to you. That's another great idea.
I love that one. That's a great one, actually.
That can also be an entry, but it has to be 3 or 4 paragraphs. What do we think that's going to happen to Euron in the show, JR? I mean, I'm really at a loss for this one.
He's got to die, but it's got to be a meaningful death, or maybe he doesn't have to die. Does he survive as a eunuch? And I mean, all the horrible things that he does gets done to him. I mean, I could kind of see him going both ways with it, but he gets to live in shame.
Like he could be one of the people that survive, but and he gets like everything. I don't know. He's so dangerous, though. You know what I mean? He's
absolutely dangerous. He's like Charles Manson, isn't he? Like he's so charismatic that people do want to follow him, but he is such a deviant asshole.
Yeah, I don't know. I really hope that they push the envelope with Euron, but I think it's kind of late at this point. I think that he's just going to be a conduit for Theon's redemption, essentially. Right?
I think so too, and unfortunately, the reason I'm saying that he is possible to survive is because they haven't made his death meaningful yet, like they did with Joffrey or they did with Ramsay. Like those are the deaths that you crave, that you get put off for 3 seasons by, and they haven't done that with Euron. So I could actually see him living.
Damn, my phone's going off. Sorry. Yeah. Carol says a bald eunuch. Wait, that's Varys. No, I don't see him becoming Varys. That's another tinfoil theory. But
he can't be a master of whispers without a tongue, now can he?
He's one of these all-in people, though. It's all or nothing with him. You know what I mean? And I just think that
him living, I think, would be more of a punishment, honestly.
How many villains? I say villains because they're. I mean, George doesn't really say
true villains.
Yeah, true. But how many are going to be left at the end of the story? I don't think there's going to be any. I think very few people are surviving the story. I think Davos is going to make it to old age.
Thank God.
Jon, Arya, Tyrion, which we'll talk about after. Maybe
yes.
The story from George R. R. Martin in Redwood City. Euron is not one of those people, I don't think, though, JR. I mean, the Forsaken chapter seems to – he's essentially outnumbered against the Red Wine Fleet, who are probably the best navy, considerably. You think?
I'd say the Red Wine Fleet's still second to the Ironborn. They have no choice but to grow up sailing. I mean, the Red Wines can go by land, but they can't. But
the half of the Ironborn fleet or more are with Victarion. And Euron's outnumbered by a big margin. And he's like, onward,
10-1, though. Isn't that the
thing is,
Greyjoy rule?
The thing is, though, is that he's got a bunch of priests tied, like a priests from all over Essos.
What's Victarion, though?
Well, I mean, Victarion has a smoking firearm and a red priest with him. He's
Makaro.
Yeah, Makaro, who's I wish was in the show.
I so wish that was in there.
But
just so I could watch Dragonbinder burn that one dude to the ground, because that was sick.
And that's another thing that they don't have time for in the show. Another whole rerouting scenario where Daenerys loses her dragons. Another one of her dragons to Euron.
I'm actually sorely disappointed that they didn't have any. The only horn that exists apparently is the one at Castle Black that they blow. Because they only talked about loosely about the Horns of Winter, and then they didn't even reference Dragonbinder.
And it would be interesting to see because we know that Viserion died, but imagine that could somehow affect Viserion. We know that sound waves affect humans and can almost debilitate, certain.
Yeah, you can debilitate. Yes, with sound waves.
I mean, and it can totally, you can totally control people's minds with certain frequencies and stuff like that, or at least affect the human mind in a way that where the person isn't thinking clearly or is affected by
right, disorient.
Yes. So I'm wondering if I don't know, are we going to see the horn that Sam has? Is that, I mean, I don't think that's the Dragonbinder. Could it be? I mean, does Jon get that?
No,
Jon, that's not the Dragonbinder for Jon. I mean, I don't think he has to do that. He already had an interaction with Drogon. I mean, they were already connected because of his Targaryen blood, right?
Right, and that's the way that the show presented it. So yeah, no, I think Dragonbinder at this point would be less than useless to the show.
So we're not going to get into that too much. I'm really interested, obviously, to see what happens with the books, with the Dragonbinder. But there's not enough time in season 8. Everything is contracting inwards. So
yeah, very much so.
Sorry, go ahead, JR.
No, you're good.
So, and I think that obviously, Valyrian steel armor, that is something.
God, that would be badass.
That would be super badass. I mean, in Jon's dream, it certainly sounds like when he's fighting people on the wall and he's sending, when he sends the grief back, it certainly seems like that could be Valyrian steel armor. That could be some sort of foreshadowing, because the way it's described, the glyphs are shimmering essentially. It sounds like
it looks like it's pulsing almost, is the description in the book.
Yeah, so that is something that's really interesting. I don't know if we do have Gendry, who's probably going to. I mean, actually, at Con of Thrones, funny enough, Joe Dempsey talked about. Someone asked him if he was going to be getting his hammer back, and he says, no, I could make something different for himself. But I think that certainly with Bran, Tyrion, Gendry there, they could all together kind of have some sort of plan to get more Valyrian steel. Maybe that's what's Jon needs to fight the Night King, is Valyrian steel armor. Like, that would be totally insane. I would be like, I don't even. Oh my god.
Oh, my mind would be blown if they actually did that, but they just haven't catalyzed it anywhere. They haven't interjected it.
Sorry, I just creamed my pants. Thank you for the steel armor.
Oh my god!
Is anybody else in the chat creaming their
most professional podcast on the YouTubes?
Most professional pod. Yeah, the Horn of Winter. Now the thing is, though, is there a possibility, though, JR? Like we've kind of said, hey, we don't think Dragonbinder is going to be a thing. Why would the Dragonbinder be beyond the wall at the Dragon class? That just, I mean, it seems more likely that horn has something to do with the Crypts of Winterfell, the wall, maybe. I don't know.
Because Viserion already dropped the wall, there's no point to having the Horn of Winter at all. Unless they tie it into the Kings of Winterfell rising from the crypts in some way. But that would be the only way it would get used.
So I think that we could probably safely say that both of those things aren't going to happen in the show.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I mean, Valyrian steel, we know that there's a Valyrian steel dagger, and then there could be more Valyrian steel being made. They could make Valyrian steel arrows or something. Maybe they will figure out how.
Where's Dark Sister?
And we don't know the formula for the actual formula for Valyrian steel, but Sam could have certainly brought a book back from the Citadel. And Bran is there, and Tyrion is there. There could be some sort of, and Daenerys' dragons are there, and we know that dragon fire is instrumental in the process.
In forging, yeah.
So, but we're kind of going off track a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting way out of Greyjoy land. We start talking about mythical items.
But this, I mean, it usually happens on stream. I mean,
it does.
Yeah, we're about.
It's a never-ending rabbit hole with Game of Thrones.
Misty says, "Do I still need to send you that bottle of rum I promised you?" I mean, I won't turn it down. I'm in the state. Misty, do you live in the United States? Because you could send it to. You could have sent it to Aziz and Nashaya in Atlanta, and then I could pick it up there because I will be there in about 5 days. I'm going to be staying there for a few days. If that's what you want to do, let me know.
Or with Simon and Pedro and Houston.
Or or Simon and Pedro in Houston, and JR, me and JR are going to get together and be doing some Marvel stuff. I'll be there in about 2 weeks. But I think that certainly some of these artifacts, these important items. I don't know if I don't think there's a high possibility that we're going to be getting them in the show.
The armor is probably the only one that's plausible.
And I don't think it's necessary. I mean, is it necessary, really? I mean,
not really.
Not really.
It would be epic, but it's not necessary.
In the books, though, I mean, certainly George may have, he has a reason behind everything he does. So we will figure out why at some point it was important. And I'm sure, I mean, John's going to battle the Night King 1v1. I think that's I
would seriously love to pick his brain on his creative process. If he writes it, and then when he thinks of something new, if he has to go back to it and then sprinkle it in, I just want to pick that man's brain for hours.
Yeah, and by the way, everyone, we're gonna if you stick around until the end of the stream, we're gonna talk a little bit about how I got to meet George R. R. Martin 4 different times last week, twice at parties. I got to chat with George R. R. Martin for about 20 seconds in total, the one party. But I did get to party.
But he was there. That counts. No, you can't take that away from yourself, Kyle. You were there. That's all that matters.
And I was inducted into his Brotherhood Without Banners, the original BWB. So honored to be part of that. And all those people were so nice and welcoming. So back to the Greyjoys. Euron in the book is going to do more than Euron in the show. Final prediction for Euron, JR. What do you think is going to happen there?
Dead.
Yeah, I think that he could certainly be. But the Golden Company, Ben Drescher has. He could certainly be betrayed by them, or he can certainly get them to turn on Cersei. And then
I would love that if it was Dario.
I'm not a huge fan of that character in the show.
I know, but that would be so great.
It would be ironic because I think that they are going to include some of the fan favorites in season 8.
They are.
I'm not saying that Dario is, but we could see a lot of returning characters, just to finish and write off their storyline. Certainly, some of them aren't as important as we think. They can just be written out of the story. Some people think the Faceless Men in Jaqen / the House of Black and White won't be impactful, but we're definitely getting that in season 8. Now Dario is completely different. I think he's a little bit less important than the Faceless.
Well, in the books, the Golden Company is led by who? It's the Griffs, isn't it?
Harry Strickland.
Young Griff, old Griff.
Harry Strickland. Harry Strickland is part of it. That's the Golden Company. But I mean, we have John Connington and Fagon, and that's not in the show.
Right. Correct. And so I could see them. The Brown Ben Plum is.
He's part of the Second Sons in those groups.
Second Sons. Okay, that's what I had to. Got it. It's that stupid hybrid in my head. I can't sort which is which.
And by the way, Harry Strickland has been cast for Game of Thrones season 8, so he is going to be the leader of the Golden Company apparently in Game of Thrones season 8.
So they're not even going to give us a book nod with the Coddingtons.
No, I don't think so.
Damn it, that sucks.
But I mean, is the Golden Company going to be important in season 8? I mean, that's another army.
Absolutely.
And we know that the Golden Company were part of the Blackfire rebellions and opposed the Targaryens. So I don't necessarily know that they care about the Greyjoys at all. I mean,
and could that be Varys's final betrayal? Revealing his true colors of Blackfire, and I mean, it fits.
But he's he's outspoken about how he wouldn't align himself with Euron, and Euron is someone that does some things for himself, and he certainly could betray Cersei, and I certainly can't see Varys supporting Cersei. So who would he put up? Who would Varys support then? Would he support Tyrion or himself? That's kind of confusing because Littlefinger is dead. So. And right. I certainly think that Varys is going to die. I mean, Melisandre foreshadowed that. But Melisandre has.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to die now in the story. He could be, riding off into the sunset forever and dies a natural death in Westeros, which is pretty uncommon.
One thing that's interesting, too, that George did mention at his interview with John Picasso, which I uploaded this morning. I got to chat and sit down with John Picasso, the creator or the artist on the Song of Ice and Fire 20, I believe is it 2012 calendar. Oh my God, amazing art. He's good friends with George. But George spoke about how he has told Dan and Dave to put more things in the show that we realized. And somebody just mentioned in the chat, I can't remember who it was, that mentioned that basically, where's the comment? 1 second. Go up here. I'm trying to find the comment, man.
Is anybody else really jealous that Dan and Dave already know what the hell the end is?
Absolutely. Well, I think that too. What I was trying to get at is this a clue that Aegon, and this is the comment that was mentioned, that Aegon is not important? Is this like basically foreshadowing that this storyline isn't important in the books? And I think it is.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That it isn't included in the show. And I think a lot of people will argue that it isn't, but I don't think it's, I mean.
At the end, what's going to happen?
They didn't include
Cersei's going to be long dead, and Aegon is going to be on the Iron Throne when Dany has to take it at King's Landing in the books. Like that's what's going to happen.
I disagree with that 100%.
What? How can you disagree with that logic?
I think Dany's going to end up killing Aegon after he's revealed to be a Blackfire. And we saw, and here's the thing. But
you don't think they're going to be occupying King's Landing?
I mean, he's going to try, but I think that Cersei's going to be on the Iron. I think she's third act villain, and I think here's what's going to happen with Aegon. I think that the Cyvasse game that Tyrion and Aegon played, it showed how immature.
How do you pronounce it? Because it's always funny to me to figure out how people pronounce
Cyvasse.
Different words. See, I always call it crevasse.
Or I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
I don't know either, because it's one of those words, you know. It's like, how do you say it?
His name is pronounced Fatgon. Get out of here, Bubba Husky.
Bubba Husky, nice.
We got a donation from CC Stark, the first one of this live stream. Kyle got a spare room in Fort Worth. I appreciate that. I'm pretty good to go as far as that goes, though. But I could take you up on that offer at some point. But yeah, I think that, I mean, certainly we know that Victorian wasn't in the show, and we, you know, I think he's kind of just serving as, he's going to be dragon fodder. But you know, a lot of people think that, you know, that Euron is a mix of Victorian and him. I don't think so at all in the show. I don't.
No, he's way out on his own.
I mean, he's dumb. He's dumb. Like, I mean, Victorian's pretty dumb, but they're not the same.
No, he's easy to manipulate. I wouldn't say that he's dumb.
Oh, fake news emojis. And here's a great point. The end villain has to be someone we've known since the beginning. Aegon wouldn't make sense. I don't think
Correct.
we could see him as a villain because he's being manipulated as well. I think that we're going to see Cersei in a similar position to what we see her in the show, because it's like a Song of Ice and Fire, Fire King, Ice King. Cersei, like, we could think of the Mad King as a Fire King. That was the first version of the Fire King. There's another version of the Night King, you know, and Cersei's kind of another version of the Fire King or Fire.
Cersei is so dead in the books. She's dead. She's
100% dying. But I think that, you know, the Valonqar prophecy, all that standoff in the King's Landing is going to happen in the last. I think she survives until the last book. Some people think she might die in Winds, but I don't know.
I think she's dying in Winds of Winter, and John Connington is going to set up on King's Landing, and that's what Dany is going to have to take.
One thing too.
Wait, what's your final prediction for Euron?
Yeah, in the show, I don't know. I think that Theon's going to kill him in the Blackwater Battle 2.0. I don't know if it's going to be. I think.
So you think he's going down with wildfire?
I think that he's going to get an arrow through the eye from Theon. Theon's a good archer.
That is true.
Theon has an eye, or Euron has an eye patch. I could certainly see him being drowned by Theon. That'd be interesting.
Oh, that'd be epic too.
I think that,
so many good deaths could happen for that.
but then that would be like returning him to the Drowned God, and like that would be almost like kind of put like
Backwards.
I mean, good, you know, like to
like it's almost a reward, and you don't want anything like that for him.
So I mean, I don't know. But I think that in the books, Euron is going to link up with Cersei, and they're going to be on the Iron Throne. They're going to be both crazy, like super crazy together. I don't know if that's going to happen with Euron. I don't think Euron. I mean, it might. I mean, we might get little hints of that. I don't think Euron's going to become king of Westeros. I mean, certainly Cersei could marry him. That could happen.
So you're saying he's going to be Jack from Titanic?
Anyways, Euron show. I have no freaking idea, everyone. He's not the Valonqar, though. I will say that with 100%.
No, he is. It could fit, but it's not going to.
Fake news. Hey, a voodoo shaman. What is the origin of the Iron Islands throne? Good question. I mean, there's the oily black stone, which is interesting, right? That is certainly something that is kind of like, there's a lot of mystery behind that. The throne in the Iron Islands. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not.
The sea salt throne, is that what it's called?
The sea stone chair.
Sea stone chair. There we go. Yeah. Which is made out of the black and oily.
What do you think?
What do I think about which?
The sea stone chair.
They didn't play it up in the show at all. I think it'd be useless to put it in there now, unfortunately.
I mean, it's in the shape of a kraken. We didn't really. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, Balon's throne didn't look exactly like that in the show. I mean, I don't remember exactly what it looks like in the show.
It wasn't in the shape of a kraken. I can tell you that.
Some people think it's the work of the so-called deep ones, which are like this race of
whole other race. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to see that at all in the show. But I mean, in the books,
no.
Yeah.
Maybe, and there's a bunch of Citadel tie-ins to that too.
Yeah, I think it's really irrelevant. So yeah. Oh, but thank you for the donation and the question. I don't think it's going to be really relevant to Voodoo Shaman. But thanks for the question. Really, really appreciate that. We got another donation from John Sabatiste, keeping this wildling from your village at the Iron Price. Thank you so much. And we do have 86 people watching. If you do want to, if you are enjoying this video, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to have some reporting on Worldcon coming up. And I have a funny story, a narrated video about some me spilling a drink on one of the Brotherhood Without Banners at the Hugo Awards party that I have to narrate for you.
What, are we going to wrap up all the Greyjoy predictions first before we start going into your party stream?
Yeah. So this we're gonna go into the last part of the stream, everyone. We're gonna go talk Theon next because we have to. We're gonna go for another 15 minutes on the Greyjoys, and then we're gonna talk about Worldcon, meeting George R. R. Martin in person, the Hugo Awards, kind of some of the stuff that George said. So stick around. Make sure you stick around until the end of the video, and we're gonna talk about some of the little nuggets I have for you. About Worldcon. Okay, Theon. We got to kind of finally go with him, man. I mean, in the books, he's in a really rough spot. His hair is gray. He's been flayed. He lost his dick. It's pretty bad for Theon.
See, he didn't lose his dick in the book. It's just alluded to.
He lost it.
Oh, come on.
But what do you think, though? Like, what happens with Theon in the book? Because I think it's more likely that he dies in the book and in the show.
I think it's more likely that he would die in the show than the books.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me your reasoning behind this one. I'm interested.
Because he's suffered so much already. Like, you can't help but like be like, come on, little guy, you can do it. He's like the little character that could.
Wow. I think in the books, we're going to see it. I think, Torgon the Latecomer, if any of you had read The World of Ice and Fire, The History of the Greyjoys, it's a very similar story to what happened at the Kingsmoot. In the books, more so in the books. Because the Kingsmoot in the books, Theon was not there. In the show, he was. So he certainly could become Theon the Latecomer. I think that's a possibility. JR, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it could certainly end that way. certainly in the books for him. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
But in the show, I think that
he lives.
I mean, even the music in the John Theon scene. That by the way, that was one of the top 5 favorite scenes of the whole season last season for me. And Alfie Allen, I have to say, as the way he expresses himself as an actor through facial contractions and emotion, he's the best on the show. Him and Lena Headey, I think, are the 2 best as far as like when you're looking at them, you're like, wow, they are incredible actors.
Yeah, smashing it. And this is his first acting job.
Which is insane. I mean, his family, his sister is super talented. She's an artist. But,
she's the one that got him to audition for it.
And she almost became Yara and Yarsha in the show.
Yasha.
Right? They tried to get both of them together.
That would have been hilarious, but I'm glad. Gemma Whalen is a perfect casting for Yosha.
Oh my God.
We're just going to keep changing the name every time.
Yeah. But for Theon Greyjoy, I think that, so someone had mentioned it earlier, him getting the Greyjoy fleet and somehow using that to, because I think that, Jon kind of gave him the go-ahead to, hey, do your thing for House Greyjoy. I'm not going to stop you. Like, you got to fulfill your own destiny, man. You have to I can't do that for you. What are you waiting for? He basically gave him permission to go save his sister. And
I could actually see him residing the rest of his years in Winterfell and leaving the Iron Islands to his sister.
That could be something. And I think that, I personally see the Iron Throne being melted down in the end. And then there's like a Knights of the Round Table, kind of like in Arthurian legend, where 7 or 8 people are around the table and they each have their own strength and voice within that we'll say meritocracy.
Well, you know my end game.
The next meritocracy.
Yeah, and you know my end game because we've talked about it multiple times. But I think it's going to end in a loose Magna Carta.
It's going to be interesting. I think we will see some remnants of it. But my point is I think that Theon is part of that, which is interesting.
I agree.
Despite everything he's done, he will have some sort of voice because of. And I think that and Jon, he said he doesn't, obviously he betrayed Robb, but he is grateful that he did save Sansa because Jon does care about Sansa even though she mistreated him most of his life. I think that that's yes. and I think that we could see a scenario with Theon doing some sort of other heroic act for House Stark.
As a redemption. If he goes down, I hope he self-sacrifices to save Jon.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. You know what I mean? And I think that would be one of the most saddest moments in the show, just to see like.
But it would make his death meaningful, which is really what you want for him at this point. I mean, he's suffered enough.
Oh damn, yeah, for sure. Noxgen, let's go up. Somebody said no spoilers.
No spoilers. What? All we do is spoilers.
Oh, yeah, he killed John Wick's little puppy. That's fine. Noxian, you can totally say that. John Wick is coming for Theon Greyjoy. I totally love the John Wick movies, by the way. Best action movies that have been made in a long, long time.
With some of the best gunplay, and I know I'm a huge asshole about it, but that is some of the best gunplay in a movie.
Keanu Reeves is one of my favorite actors of all time, and you guys know how much I care about empathy and compassion. Keanu Reeves donated 90% of his purse in the Matrix movies to the janitors, to the caterers, to
cancer research after his sister died. I mean, the dude's insane.
He donated 90%. He made a lot of money from the Matrix movies. He is apparently one of, and he lives modestly. He gives away a lot of his money because he understands that hoarding wealth is not something that is going to make you happy, or for him anyways. But Theon Greyjoy,
if we have a rabbit hole.
Keanu Reeves is not Theon Greyjoy. But for me, I think that ultimately it comes down to the hero's journey and what Theon's hero's journey is. And I think that it's going to be something positive and redemptive, even though he may die. I don't think he personally dies. I think he's one of the cripples, bastards, and broken things. But that's kind of the theme that George is going with.
I think he's 50-50.
Let's take a vote in chat. Kraken, if you think he survives. Fire emoji, if you think he dies.
Not saying he's getting burnt, but.
Damn, you think he burns?
No.
And by the way, there is cute animals in this house. There is a kitty that's currently meowing in the other room. There's 2 kitties where I'm actually allergic, and I still pet them anyways. I'm like, oh, kitty, meow.
I'm dying.
Fire.
So
oh, wow.
Oh, a lot of people want him dead, huh?
Keanu does have a very sad story, but he's an amazing. The most successful people in life often have had more failure than anyone else. It's true. Michael Jordan, Oprah, Keanu Reeves, and adversity, because they understand that they don't want to go through that anymore, and they're so driven to avoid that.
To change it.
Yeah. So a lot of people think it's pretty even now. That's okay.
Come on, somebody get some Krakens up there, man.
We got. Oh damn! Theon is making a comeback in the chat.
There we go. See,
close.
like I said, 50-50.
Yeah, but overall,
if he does die, his death has to be meaningful. It absolutely has to be meaningful.
I think that he could be in the books. My prediction is that Bran is going to be a big reason why his consciousness changed back from Reek to Theon.
Oh, you think he's going to go in and refire some synapses?
No, I think he's communicating with him already. But I mean, I don't think he's going to, because we know that skin changing into another person, warring into another person is not a good thing. Aziz was doing this to me at the Hugo Awards party, forcing me to drink whiskey. Abomination, you are, Aziz. Well, it looks like it's pretty close, 50-50. I think that leaning towards the end here, it looks like more people think Theon's going to survive, but it does look as if.
He's going to marry Cersei. I thought everybody knew that.
Oh damn! Damn! John St. Baptiste is swinging.
Oh, did he just light up 9 million Krakens?
He definitely did. Okay, so overall, House Greyjoy. I think
You're undead. Theon maybe, and Yasha, sure.
Victarion 1000% dead. He's
going to die.
I think he may kill Barristan in Marine, but I mean. Just the fact that he wasn't included in the show is. I know it's not canon, but I don't think he's super relevant in the end. I think he's a means to get Daenerys over to Westeros, and that's pretty much it.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, he's also a pawn of. I mean, he's being probably played by Euron to get
exactly. It's all of his poison gifts. I mean, Euron's master of it.
Lots of poison gifts. But then we're going to go into the second part of the stream, everyone. That was a little bit of our House Greyjoy chat. We got actually a lot to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about Worldcon, George R. R. We got, like I said, we're doing a giveaway for this book, not just this stream. But we have a copy of Game of Thrones. I got 3 books signed by for our awesome people in this community. But JR, what should I talk about? What was the most interesting thing I told you about Worldcon?
Actually, you didn't tell me. It was the most interesting thing I saw on Facebook. And the next time I see George, I'm going to send him the Lannister regards.
So what should
Your George, our George, not our Martin.
Okay, so what should we talk about first?
How epic it is that George got an autograph on the original published piece of George R. R. Martin work.
So my George Sartiano, who lives in San Jose, you guys know him as Old Jeezy. George Sartiano, he's here in the chat quite a bit. He actually, so George R. R. Martin sent in to Stan Lee a letter. And Jack Kirby. I think it was Fantastic Four
issue 17.
17. George got that signed by George R. R. Martin, and he got a reaction out of George. It's like, how did you get this? Or where did you find
where did you find this?
Where did you
and it was for anybody that's as geeky as me and is now trying to find it, the actual letter is in Fantastic Four number 20.
So, but
because he was gushing about 17.
How old was George when he sent that letter, by the
15.
way? 15 years. So George R. R. Martin was 15 years old when he sent that letter to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And that was his first ever published work, we can say.
Yeah.
He spoke about how, Steve Ditko was one of the first people that he admired and met. Actually, George R. R. Martin, this is actually true. George R. R. Martin.
Number 1.
Has the 001, the first ever badge from a Comic-Con. He is literally the alpha nerd. Like patient 0, he's nerd 0, if you want to really think about it. I mean, Stan Lee's around, but like as far as like going to conventions and stuff like that, George was like, you know what I mean? So that's why he goes to Worldcon, and he's actually going to, I think, 4 more cons or 3 more cons. He's added more to his schedule next year, JR. You know what that means.
If he is at Con of Thrones, we're gonna have some serious fanboy moments.
I don't know if he'll go to Con of Thrones. He hasn't announced that, but the energy that he had this whole week, and I got 3 books signed by him. Actually, 4. We won't talk about that though. Where the other one went, we don't. It's possially stolen. I don't know what happened.
And whoever you are, I have a very particular set of skills for you.
Yeah, I actually had a 4th copy. I was going to give away 2 copies of the signed book, but we can't find the other one. Somebody may have entered my backpack. We don't know what happened with it. But he had really great energy all week, everyone. And I was talking to Aziz about this the other day. Him adding more cons to his schedule. It really seemed like, I don't know. I'm going to go.
Go ahead and say it. I know you're going to say it. Just say it.
I think that Winds of Winter is 100% coming out next year. And I think it's going to be right before season 8 or right after season 8. Like 2 days after season 8 or like right before season 8. And Aziz agrees with me, and he's pretty smart.
6 episodes, so you're calling for like a mid-June release.
I think that it's either going to be before season 8 or right after season 8.
I think it'd be after.
People were getting hype in chat. Oh, damn. Someone paid the iron price. Yeah. Lucifer means, by the way, Lucifer means Lightbringer in the chat. Also thinks that this is going to happen. And I think that, what we need to do is me and LML need to have kind of a stream talking about everything that we got to do at Worldcon. But people, this is a personal prediction of mine. Aziz thinks this as well. So does LML, who's in chat. I think that Winds of Winter is coming out next year. I think that George's his energy level was really good this week.
See, I'm still calling for a fall release.
I think it's going to be earlier than that. I really do.
You do? I think it's going to be fall.
One other thing that happened, everyone, is that I got to. So the Brotherhood Without Banners is the original fandom. And this is a group that was started by George R. R. Martin. A lot of the people from the Westeros.org message boards. And this is before, way before the show ever came out. I don't know. I believe it was 2002 that it was started. I can't remember
the
exactly.
Old boards.
Yeah, so Westeros.
The original Weirwood network for Westeros.
Great, the theorization that came, it originally pretty much started there. Well, as far as people really, really getting into the fandom. So we ended up, Axe Chucker and Aziz and Ashea were so kind to include me and George in a lot of the stuff over the weekend. I didn't expect to go to some of these parties. I am more of, I do more show stuff on the channel on YouTube, but they were so welcoming. And everyone, I got inducted into the original Brotherhood Without Banners, the free company of the Greenleaf. And you had to do a ghost chili, a vodka shot, or was it tequila? I couldn't tell because the ghost chili was in it and made the alcohol weird. But I got inducted into the original Brotherhood Without Banners that George R. R. Martin started. So I think the most incredible people, they are the most kind, most incredible people that I met in the community. And, I totally understand why so many people are so passionate about the books. I love the books too, but some people are more books than show. And I got to say, these people, man, I didn't expect this to happen at Worldcon, but I got to go to 2 separate parties, a Brotherhood Without Banners party George R. R. Martin was there, and I got introduced to George R. R. Martin, and I got to talk with him. And he asked me if this was my first ever Worldcon, JR. And I said yes. And he goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "Canada." He's like, "Well, I hope you come back to California." And that was basically our conversation. Well, I got to chat with George R. R. Martin briefly. I was actually the last one to meet him at that party because I tried not to surround. He was getting swarmed. Let's be honest. I mean, it's George R. R. Martin. People want to talk to him. But Blackfire, Eric, amazing guy. That's the guy that I spilled the drink at the Hugo's party.
On his kilt.
On his kilt and his suit jacket, by the way. But I got to meet George R. R. Martin, and he was super nice, guys. George was in really, really good spirits. And George R. R. Martin basically told me to move to California, and I think I got to take his advice. So that was such an incredible moment. That wasn't the only time we got to meet him. I went to the Hugo Awards, and there's a limited amount of tickets to the Hugo Awards after party, JR.
Yep.
I didn't have a ticket.
But let me tell you what it was like from this end, Kyle. It was you constantly sending me pictures and me getting various degrees of pissed off.
But basically, got to go to the Hugo Awards. Wow, that was so fun. And John Picasso, I got to interview him. He was emceeing the awards. He did a fantastic job. Wonder Woman won Best. It beat out Last Jedi and The Shape of Water for Best Writing for a Movie. There was this amazing speech. Oh my God, they're just amazing speeches. This community, the fantasy science fiction authors are just so passionate about what they do. Really, really amazing. And I got to go to the Hugo Awards losers party, which wasn't a losers party. Anyone, trust me. But it's funny.
What did Aziz convince you of?
So Aziz has convinced me to go to this party, and I'm gonna shout out Karen Richmond in a second. She has a donation. But I got to go to this party, everyone, and George R. R. Martin was there. He basically booed all the winners because it's supposed to be a losers party. But Paris, his wife, read a poem. George, basically talked about how he was so appreciative of everyone that came out and supported Hugo Awards and whatnot. And it was an open bar, so me and Aziz had a few drinks. The Brotherhood Without Banners was there, and Katie didn't have a +1 from the Brotherhood Without Banners, and I got to go attend the Hugo Awards as her +1 essentially. So the Hugo Awards after party, wow. There was food George basically took care of the whole night for everyone that was attending. He took care of the drinks and food for that's crazy, right? So to be included in that was probably the highlight of my weekend. Obviously, meeting these people and making new friends was absolutely incredible. I mean, hanging out with Aziz, George, LML, and his wife Elodia was amazing. But that was
this is where. This is definitely one of those you reap what you sow moments, Kyle, because I remember exactly how you were at Con of Thrones. It's so gracious, it's so inviting. So it's very much like Game of Thrones in the circular fashion that everything happens and it got returned to you. So I was like super stoked for you when you were like, dude, I'm going to Hugo. I was like, nice.
People, I mean, I can't like, I mean, I don't know. It's still not really set in. I don't know that the fact that, I got inducted to the BWB and I got to meet all those amazing people from that community. And I got to meet George a couple of different times, and I got 3 books signed by him. Yeah, Aziz and Axe Chucker, not only Aziz and Ashea, but Axe Chucker as well. Lee and Rachel, Eric, Katie, so many people within the BWB were so inviting. We got to go to this amazing dinner at the Sienna Bistro. George was not there at this dinner, JR, but there's this patio, and there was pot lights and amazing Italian food, and it was beautiful and sunny, having conversations about A Song of Ice and Fire and life and enjoying California. Just wow. I don't know what else to really say other than I am so appreciative to everyone who included me in that, and I'm so stoked to be part of the free company of the Greenleaf in the Brotherhood, the Brotherhood Without Banners,
and everybody in the chats that helped get you there.
Yeah, honestly, everyone that, whether you made a donation or not, whether you liked the video, you made a comment. This was the goal, to meet George R. R. Martin at some point, and Like Worldcon, I didn't expect, like I was like, okay, if we go on Tuesday, we go see George R. R. Martin in person and we report on that, we do a podcast on that, like that's really good. You know what I mean?
That's a win.
That's a win. But the fact that I got to go see George, I got to see George 5 times over the whole week was
exactly
incredible. And the fact that I got to party with George R. R. Martin, meet him in person, actually chat with him was an absolute, like, off my bucket list. Like, wow.
And he picked up you and Aziz's whiskey tab.
I mean, he picked up, I think everyone's tab that night. I mean, George paid for the whole party.
Yeah.
And which is
but you got to say, no, that's not how you frame it.
So essentially, George R. R. Martin bought me drinks. That's so weird. I don't know.
Exactly. That's how you sell it.
Well, here's the thing. You get a drink, but I was giving donations. I was putting like $5 bills, $1 bills for tips and stuff like that. I wasn't like I wasn't paying. I was making sure the bartenders got money for serving us drinks. You know what I mean? You're laughing at me, but I don't know.
I know, because I've seen you drinking.
But George R. R. Martin, he's a really funny guy. Yeah, he has a lot of jokes in his arsenal. People, like I said, I didn't get to chat with him extensively. I mean, he's a really our thing's falling. I didn't get to chat with him extensively, and he's not the kind of person that I wanted to bother. He was like, there's so many people that want to chat with George. I mean, you know how popular.
Oh, he's being inundated the whole time, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. But you know, it was just absolutely amazing. I want to point out Karen Richmond. She's actually getting a copy of Game of Thrones signed. Her and Maura Lee donated. I don't want to say the amount of money that they donated, and there's others who donated quite a bit of money. PJ, other people, but Karen Richmond and Maura donated so much money to the Crown of Thrones GoFundMe and this GoFundMe. I can't even say it live, people. So what I did is I got them each a copy signed of Game of Thrones from George R. R. Martin, and I hope that you're both happy with that. And I think that what we could do in chat before we end the stream is show them some love. Let's spam heart and fire emojis in the chat, because without Karen and Maura Lee, we wouldn't be able to go on this trip. No joke. And all the patrons that support the channel and all the super chats that you guys make. It's like, I was just reflecting on that this morning while having a coffee, JR, and I'm like, do we not have I don't want to say anything against anyone else's community because we're all part of the same community, but this community, our hype and love community, I'm just like constantly blown away. Like, and
oh, absolutely.
And we have so much more to go. Like, we're going to continue. Like, how many more years of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire is there like to go?
10.
Like, at least. You know what I mean?
10 years.
And that's what makes me even more excited, that we're all going to grow and strengthen our friendship even more. So, damn, it's just. It
is funny. Like in the live streams, and even the live streams especially, because it's like the lost panel of Crown of Thrones, because it's always panels and it's everybody talking about all the stuff we love anyway. But it's like a family reunion every time. Like, you read news in the chat, like, oh, hey.
Some of the other things that were really interesting that George had to say were, especially on Tuesday at Redwood City when we saw his interview with John Boccaccio. One thing that was really interesting, someone asked him, John actually asked him the question, like, hey, like, so we're not going to see the continuation of the stories of any of the characters, the story arcs of any of the characters within this current Game of Thrones. And George says, no, we aren't going to see the continued story of Arya, Jon Snow, or Tyrion. And it was said so
nonchalantly that it was a slip.
I honestly think that Jon Snow, Tyrion, and Arya are surviving the Song of Ice and Fire, man.
They have to.
And they're part of the original.
Paris said she would divorce him if Arya died.
Right?
And the cat's name? Or the dog?
I don't know, man. Like, oh, dude, like, just the way he said it, I don't know. It was so nonchalant, just the way, but it was like off the top of his head. He answered it really quickly. You know what I mean? He's like,
right.
And we're not going to see the continuation of Arya, Jon, and Tyrion. So, but
why those names? Why those three?
But George is an expert at this. He's been doing it for a long time.
Very true.
I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but I'm just saying. I don't know. That's the vibe that I got.
Well, when it was still a trilogy, he basically outlined that those were going to be the three that survived the story to begin with. Well, it was in the draft outline to the publisher.
Bran and Daenerys were also included in the 5. I think Sansa was the other one, like the 6th peripheral, like maybe.
Yeah, it was a question mark.
But it was Bran,
and that was the
Daenerys,
first
Jon,
confirming
Tyrion,
that Cold Hands is not Benjen Stark.
Yeah. So
is this Benjen? Question mark. It's written in the margin for anybody that sleuths around the internet like I do, finding anything.
Two more things that were pretty importantly that were answered. Dark Sister was brought to the wall by Bloodraven.
Oh, that's huge.
So there's another Valyrian steel blade somewhere around the wall. It's in the Bloodraven. It's in his cave.
You think it's in the cave? Okay.
I think Mira is going to get it in the books, and Aziz and the Shea, I think it's going to go to Arya because we don't have the dagger in the book. I mean, well, the dagger, she certainly could get it, but they think that that's going to be kind of a sub. It's going to happen. Yeah, sub from the show to the books. So
I could see. Well, I don't know. Yes, Arya gets a sword. That I have no question of. I just wonder where it's at because I'm not wholly convinced that it's in the cave.
Also, another thing that was confirmed is that Aziz asked this question is that Bittersteel did not have any kids. And Bittersteel
did not reproduce.
And he was a huge part of the Golden Company and all that. And he was
the founder of the Golden Company.
Correct. So that's really interesting. Obviously, we know that there's some big events that are going to happen with the Golden Company in the books and the show. Well, not so much the show. I think they're more going to be a peripheral thing, just included as another army. But that's
but they're going to turn on Cersei.
Also, the first question of the night that was answered or asked to George R. R. Martin: Winds of Winter coming out? I'm going to get it out of the way. John Picasso said, and George says, "Don't worry, I'm working on it." And he was laughing and smiling. So.
Perfect.
Honestly, I felt really positive about the energy that George had, but I really do think. Another thing that was mentioned, JR, when they were talking about the prequels, he talked about a Fire and Blood, and he talked about the Long Night, and George was the one that come up with the name The Long Night for the prequel. It wasn't anyone else. George was the one that suggested the Long Night name for the prequel.
Well, that's because George is a crafty guy.
I mean,
wait, are we talking our George?
We're talking George R. R. Martin.
Oh, I still stand by my previous statement.
and also spoke about Fire and Blood and how HBO took a lot of the sideboards and the information that George had from a Fire and Blood for another prequel. So it's possible.
Which is going to be the Doom of Valyria.
Well, that's kind of been dispelled a little bit. So we're not
really.
Well,
I have not seen this yet. What?
But George did say that they did take a bunch of story stuff that he had written about Fire and Blood, the Targaryen, up to Aegon the Third, Aegon the Conquered, Aegon the Third, and by the way, Cregan Stark. I want to see him on TV. He is one of my favorite Starks. But George R. Martin did say that. He did say that. Hey, they did take a lot of Fire and Blood for me too, for possibly another prequel.
So that's are we up to 5 prequels possible now or 6? I
mean, the other ones are put on the side right now on the back burner.
Right.
They didn't really say we trashed them all. They kind of did, but like the Long Night is going to happen. There's no way that this pilot's not going to be amazing. Jane Goldman is like.
I can't wait to see what Jane Goldman does with it. If you don't know any of her other work, she's absolutely amazing.
And the thing too is that like, one thing that I think that we have to take into consideration is that how George gushed about her, about how talented she was. George R. R. Martin doesn't throw that around very lightly. And I know a lot of people think that George R. R. Martin doesn't like Dan and Dave, but he went to bat for them essentially. He's like, listen, I told Dan and Dave to put a lot of this stuff in the TV show. A lot of those ideas are mine. And it's not like he's a slouch at TV either. He wrote for TV for the majority of the 70s and 80s. So do not believe a word that comes out of George R. R. Martin's mouth. You be quiet, sir. How about that? But yeah, like, so those were kind of the main things that we're talking about. But I think the most important thing that I want to talk about, JR, was that George R. R. Martin basically talked about how his career crashed and burned twice. He had made success in Hollywood and got to a point where nobody was returning his calls. He had basically was going to go into real estate with no backup at all. None.
No parachute.
No parachute. You know how dangerous that is? Big time.
Pretty dangerous.
And George, look at where he is now. And one thing that he didn't speak about after all of that, and I thought that story was so inspiring because George is like literally Azor Ahai. You know, like seriously, right? Like he had his Azor Ahai moment, and he was reborn as like basically the most famous author in the world.
When he picked up the second R.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, one of the things that he was really talking about, and he kind of mentioned, was like never give up on your dreams and goals. And this is something that we talk about on the channel. You know, when I started talking about hype and love, and you guys know that I went through a back injury. That was so freaking inspirational to hear that from him, and it was so funny because
he's your number one hype man.
Yeah, man. George R. R. Martin is hype. And I think that, you know, what's really interesting too is that he talked about trying to get creative control over all these different projects. It's like, oh, how about $1 million? No, creative control. How about $2 million? No, I want creative control. How about $4 million? Back to dump truck.
Okay.
I'll take the $4 million. And George like openly spoke about like
selling out.
Well, not selling out, but financial security, because
exactly. That's what you and I were talking about it. It's not selling out. You're stabilizing your entire future by doing so. Like, it's not selling out.
Like, people say I sell out by doing GoFundMes, but it's like success. It's like, am I gonna not try to be successful? Like, why do people act like that?
Like, nobody aspires to mediocrity. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, everybody just goes, I'm going to do the most middle of the road job possible.
Like being criticized for success. Like, yeah, I totally get it. Like what people are trying to say, but I love that George was just like straight up about it. Like, he was just
it's garbage.
I took the money and I'm like, I don't care. Like, this is my story. I'm going to do whatever the F I want, man. And I deserve to get paid because the story's awesome. So I love that George was like cocky about it. He was like, damn. And yeah, and you know, Robert Baratheon, losers lose, man. That mentality, I don't like that mentality at all. And that's why we're so positive here on the channel. And just hearing that come out of George's mouth, not the money thing, but just in general, about being confident about what you want in life, reassured me that everything that we're doing here in this community is totally fucking worth it, man.
Oh, it's absolutely fucking worth it. I mean, we've said that several times in private conversation.
So I think that we could extend this stream. I think that, you know, I don't think there's too much more else to say other than, wow, it was an amazing experience. There's going to be a lot more reporting on Worldcon, and we're going to have some new people on the channel. We're going to have Blackfire on the channel at some point from the Brotherhood Without Banners. I was talking to him last night. We're going to get something to go down.
Which is awesome.
Axe Trucker on the channel. Aziz,
LML. Are you going to talk about another one?
About what? Which one?
Who you were chatting with earlier?
Oh! No, I'm not going to announce that one. But
okay. I'm getting hyenas.
JR is going to go. He's going to get hyenas.
Yes, I'm going to South Africa to pick up 3 hyenas.
But it is possible. I am working on something for you guys. I am trying to get one of the Game of Thrones actresses come on the podcast. And I can't guarantee
one of the actresses.
One of the actresses, and I can't
Who
guarantee.
Could it be?
I can't guarantee anything, but I think she may be open-minded to coming on, and we'll see.
I think she likes some maple syrup.
What? But we are trying to work on a few things for you guys. We're gonna have more podcasts. We're gonna have more guests. We are going live tomorrow to talk about more about what we talked about today. Me and Gemma are doing episode number 28 of the Citadel of Hype podcast here on the channel. Gemma went on a little vacation, and I have been extremely busy trying to report on Worldcon and get some stuff for you guys.
Do we have a launch date for Marvelous yet?
Marvelous is going to be next week. So
next week?
Yep. Right before I'm going to be. Yep. It's going to be right.
I got some content to write.
You got some content to write. JR is going to be writing for Marvelous and helping out for Marvelous, by the way, everyone. We are going to be launching some stuff right before DragonCon. I don't know exactly when we're going to be finding out if we get to interview Alfie Allen or Pilu. I don't know if we'll get either of them, but we put in 10 interview requests. Luke Cage Mike Coulter, Evangeline Lilly from Ant-Man and Wasp, Jason Isaacs, who played Lucius Malfoy in Harry Potter, John Barrowman, Peter Capaldi, the last Doctor Who, Karen Gillan, Nebula, who plays Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy. Who else did I request? Pom Clemencieff, Alfie Allen.
Is George going to Dragon Con?
Who?
George.
R. Martin or my George?
Your George. Our George.
My George is coming, and then Lou Ferrigno. So we had 10 interviews that we could request, and those were the 10 we put in. So we're gonna get a few of them, and I'm not gonna tell you in chat because you people are guessing who we may have on. But you know, we're gonna be covering Dragon Con, and we're gonna have a lot more to report on Worldcon. I'm gonna be doing some videos for that, so there is more content coming. I know there hasn't been a ton of edited videos. It's been mostly live streams, everyone. But I assure you that what the plan was to network and, I mean, go do stuff like I've been talking about. You know, there isn't going to be as many videos on this trip because I have to go out and work and make connections and grow our brand and network. But I assure you that what we're doing is 100% worth it, and we have a really bright future on the channel, everyone, and there's a lot of good things coming. JR knows a lot about it behind the scenes. I can't announce everything because I don't want to spoil stuff, all the stuff for you guys.
No spoilers.
Show it to you. But I want to thank everyone for coming today, for all of the positivity. Absolutely amazing. We had an absolute blast at Worldcon. I'm now in Orlando, chilling up for a couple days. I'm going to be going to Harry Potter World tomorrow night. I'm going to be doing some vlogging and some pictures of that. Checking out Disney World over the weekend.
Vlogging? You mean vlogging? Vlogging,
yes. I'm going to be checking out some of that. I am staying with a couple patrons of the channel here in Orlando. So thank you so much to Mia and Adam. I really, really appreciate you. I mean, it's beautiful over here. If you do want to support the channel, you can join on Patreon. I have the link in the description of this video. You can sign up for $1 a month or above. Basically, you get bonus content. There's kind of little tidbits, secret stuff that I've released from Worldcon, all sorts of stuff, bonus content that patrons get. Also, we reached our goal in the GoFundMe for Dragon Con and Worldcon, but I have left it open. Some of you told me to increase the amount. You guys are crazy, and I'm going to leave it open for the duration of my trip because some of you got mad at me that I was going to close.
For trying to close it. I remember when you first said that to me. I think you were like, "Dude, they're yelling at me." I'm like, yeah, because
that's how amazing our community is. People were getting mad at me that I was like going to close down the GoFundMe. So that's still in the description of this video. But guys,
all the links in the description. Don't forget to like that video. Hit that like button, like Podrick in a horror house.
Also, this is going to be going on for quite some time. Like I said, I'm giving away a copy of Game of Thrones signed by George R. R. Martin. I do have my work email, azorahypemedia@gmail.com, in the description of this video. You can email me your best theory for Game of Thrones Season 8, at least 3 or 4 paragraphs. Let me know what you think, I mean, there's going to be some similar theories. I will go through them. And you can also enter by giving me 3 or 4 paragraphs or even longer in detail of what the Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones means to you, what this community means to you. So that's how you can enter to win a copy of a Game of Thrones and signed by George R. R. Martin. There is another live stream after this one, everyone. I believe In Deep Geek is going live in 18 minutes. So you can go check him out.
Don't forget to check out Robert.
Don't forget to check out Robert. We love Robert. And tomorrow night, me and Gemma will be going live and discussing more about George R. R. Martin. And like I said, no trying to bribe me for this. That automatically gets you disqualified. I don't want any.
Only the iron price.
And Tal Mascadan, we're going to finish it off with a donation. Live your best life, Kyle. Certainly doing that right now. But thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. Thank you to the BWB. You guys rock. JR for joining us today. Let's give it a hand for JR.
Still find me on Facebook at GeekChat1.
And GeekChat1 on Facebook. The second most handsome man in this podcast right now. And I think that we're going to have JR sign off today. You know how to sign off, JR.
All right, everybody. Hype and love.
Hype and love.